the University of Arizona Wildcats and the University of Kansas Jayhawks. Two historic programs. Iconic names associated with NCAA sports. Two universities that are vastly different in many ways. One is located in the sun-baked desert, while the other is located in the endless expanse of the rolling Great Plains. They also have some interesting similarities that I'm going to cover in this video, like they both enjoy repping the red, white, and blue. Basketball is king at both schools. Once the calendar flips to March, fans in both programs really start to get excited. In men's basketball, each team has made a mark on their respective conferences. For close to a century, Arizona made their mark on the Pac-12. However, since the majority of the Pac-12 conference disbanded in 2023, the Wildcats have joined the Big 12 to start a new chapter for the conference. However, when the U of A were welcomed into the new league in 2024, the team had to contend with one troublesome narrative. If you are familiar with NCAA men's basketball, you have probably heard about Kansas's commanding presence in the Big 12 since its formation 1997, and even before that in its previous iterations as the Big 8, Big 7, Big 6. Fans from other schools will roll their eyes when you list all of the accomplishments of KU in the Big 12 over the years, so I'm not going to waste your time. However, the U of A, or any other Big 12 school for that matter, will have their work cut out for them as they try to dominate the conference themselves and put KU's commanding presence in the past. I feel I'm in a unique position to discuss this topic. Born in Tucson during the apex of Arizona basketball dominance in the late 90s and early 2000s, I got to be in the presence of Lute Olson and his championship Wildcats. In the early 2000s, my family ended up in the Lawrence, Kansas area and immediately found ourselves in the presence of even more prestigious basketball talent with Roy Williams and the Kansas Jayhawks. Roy Williams and Lute Olson were definitely trying to build their programs, build their resumes, and cement their legacies during the 80s and especially during the 90s and even into the 2000s. Seemingly it didn't matter that we moved halfway across the country. We had the good fortune of continuing to be blessed with high caliber basketball. The 2003 season would be Roy Williams' last hurrah, a runner-up championship run to complete his tenure at Kansas, falling just short of ultimate victory to the Syracuse Orange. Roy Williams would depart Kansas and turn over a new leaf at North Carolina. He would be followed up by head coach Bill Self, who himself would build an impressive legacy over the next 2 decades. Anyway, beyond being just a fan, my Jayhawk connection would include me eventually graduating from the University of Kansas itself with a marketing degree during the pandemic. I have since moved back to Tucson and I'm going to enjoy watching my first Arizona-Kansas game at McKale this February 28th. Personal anecdotes aside, when you ask a fan of college basketball who has the best home field advantage among some of the arenas mentioned, you will probably hear McKale Arena and Phog Allen Fieldhouse. Two iconic homes for two of college basketball's most storied programs. McKale and Phog Allen are home to some of the loudest, rowdiest crowds in any sport. There are guaranteed to be primetime games hosted by both these arenas during each season, and each of them just seems to have this home court magic that helps propel each team to victory. The two schools have had several exciting matchups over the decades. Kansas leads the all-time series 10-5. They would meet up in the NCAA tournament itself for a total of 3 times, and Arizona would lead those matchups 2-1, including in the 1997 championship season. A part of the journey to that championship was having to beat 3 number 1 seeds to accomplish that goal, and really no other team has ever done it before or after that championship. And the first number 1 seed that would go down to the Wildcats would be Kansas in the Sweet 16, who would fall to Los Gatos with a final score of 85-82. 6 years later, in 2003, the Kansas team I mentioned earlier would have to move past a number 2 seed Arizona team with a 78-75 victory in the Elite 8. And several years later, in 2006, number 7 Arizona would upset number 2 Kansas in the second round of the tournament 76-61. Now that both teams call the Big 12 home, we don't have to wait for a miracle matchup in March. We can simply look forward to conference play to see the teams match up against each other. In 2024, both teams split their games, winning on each team's respective home courts. Most recently, this February, the Jayhawks won their first game ever versus a number 1 ranked team on their home court by beating Arizona. Up until that game, the Wildcats were undefeated and were talking about running the table. However, the Jayhawks put an end to that prospect. Ironically, the only team to ever go through Big 12 play undefeated was Kansas in 2001 and 2002. They accomplished this with an inspired supporting cast of Melvin Council Jr., Flory Bidunga, and Trey White, who had to put in a little extra effort because the main star, Darren Peterson, had to sit out this game. Arizona was also a big team complemented with plenty of European talent. However, Kansas out-rebounded Arizona and were able to take the Wildcats' punches. The early February results have now made this February 28th game a revenge match game for the Cats. We will have to see whether Arizona seizes that revenge or if Kansas will perpetuate a long-standing Big 12 narrative of no matter where in the conference Kansas plays, you can't let your guard down because they will find a way to win, no matter what karma, skill, or momentum any one team may possess at that moment. We are not going to discuss baseball. There's just a bigger following in Tucson. Arizona has 4 College World Series titles. That's pretty impressive, as opposed to Lawrence, where most people don't even know Kansas has a baseball team. Well, it's not that dramatic, but you get the point. The 2 programs also have quirky similarities with their football programs. Both teams are 3-1-3 all time. Since 2014, both programs have had similar stories. 2 programs either achieve success or they both languish in frustrating failure. Each year since that season, they have either had winning or losing records. Look at this comparison between their 2 records over that time span. Now I got to know Arizona had a slightly better 2010s decade than KU, who had the no good, terrible, absolutely forgettable decade. Neither team won a single game during the pandemic year, and both managed to follow it up with a dismal 2021 season. However, both teams decided to invest in different coaches. Kansas hired Lance Leipold, while Arizona hired Jedd Fisch. The 2022 season would see Kansas finish with a 6-7 record, losing in the first bowl game it had participated in 13 years, while Arizona would finish with a more promising 5-7 record. 2023 would be a breakout year for both programs. The two teams would finish the season with bowl victories. Arizona would end up with a 10-3 record, while Arizona would finish 9-4. Next season, Arizona would lose their coach and hire Brent Brennan from Fresno State to take over. He would have a tough introductory season, completing the campaign with a 4-8 record and some serious doubts about whether the higher-ups made the correct hiring decisions. KU would also have a disappointing season, dealing with frequent travel as a result of stadium construction and overhyped expectations for the team as a whole, as well as for the quarterback. Kansas would finish with a disappointing 5-7 record. Next season saw the team make a return to a mostly finished stadium. The return to home base did little though, as Lance Leipold's attempt at a comeback was confounded, finishing with another frustrating 5-7 record. Arizona had much more success with round 2 of Brent Brennan's coaching campaign. The Wildcats secured a 9-4 record and a bowl game against SMU. So, what is next for the two programs as we look to the future? Covering the sport of football, Arizona fans will expect the team to build on the success that was achieved last season. Coach Brennan needs to avoid the trap of finally achieving a little success in the conference just to fall flat on your face next season as your team fizzles out and underachieves on each goal put forward. In the case of the Kansas football program, Lance Leipold is somewhat on the hot seat, as he needs a breakout season to silence the naysayers. I don't think he necessarily needs to win the conference, but many fans are looking forward to at least a winning record. He also has to accomplish this task with a new quarterback at the helm. Neither team will face each other in 2026, so we will have to wait till 2027 to see who will prevail between the two teams. I'm expecting to see a great conference rivalry evolve between KU and the U of A. For decades, a plethora of stars have graced the hardwood and gridiron, and I don't think that is going to change. Each school is expected to benefit from NIL, and players, fans, and faculty will be circling these games on their calendars for years to come. Finally, I just gotta say, Tucson and Lawrence both feature a vibrant, cosmopolitan college town atmosphere complete with histories that give each city a unique identity. If you are a traveling sports observer who has the resources to frequently go on such excursions, I highly recommend you give Tucson and Lawrence a visit. Thank you for tuning in today. What are some of your favorite memories from this rivalry? If you like this comparison video covering the history between these two schools, let me know if you would like me to cover other historic matchups. And also, let me know how you think this rivalry is going to evolve in the coming years and decades. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like and subscribe.